Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. And today we're going to talk about when Git push meets human pushback, which actually it's about introducing GitOps into an organization, which is a lot like bringing a new cat into a home where is already an older cat that rules the couch. They look at each other, everyone a bit nervous, and you're just hoping nobody's going to start hissing. Today, we'll talk about the human side of GitOps, the trust, the fear, the ownership, and how to move from resistance to collaboration. Now, before I'm going to start the session, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is me. I'm Shahar Shporer. I'm a DevOps architect and a platform engineer at Sheba Hospital. Yes, it's a hospital and we have an R&D department. Yes, we have a lot of data, which is very interesting. So a lot of the work is about the data pipelines. When I joined a very small startup-like medical tech team 6 months ago. And when I arrived, there was no real DevOps function, just 8 brilliant developers doing everything manually. I'm also a paramedical tattoo artist specialized in scar coverage and three-dimension areolar reconstruction tattoo for breast cancer survivors. In my spare time, I do a lot of reading, I'm fostering pets, and I am a big lover of pink. So let's go back to our story. And bringing a new cat home sounds very exciting until your old cat decides you have ruined his life. That, in short, what introducing GitOps into a very small startup without DevOps feels like. And that's exactly how it felt like to me. The existing team already had their habits, their shortcut, and their manual deploy rituals. GitOps, which is the new cat here, walked in with a structure, rules, and automation. And the first reaction they got from the team was, "So we invited you into our territory?" According to the CNCF annual survey, 46% said cultural change with the development team are a major challenge, and maybe even the biggest challenge. It's not about the tools, it's not about the cloud or on-prem, it's not about AI, it's about the people, the trust, and the communication. And that's exactly what GitOps feels like in the beginning. You come there with your new fancy toys, you bring the ArgoCD, the GitHub Action, Flux, you bring infrastructure as code, and the developers look at it and say, thank you, but no thank you. Adoption is never about the feature. It's about the timing, it's about the safety, and it's about the trust. And the environment I walked into, now imagine a castle built from pillows, blanket, cardboard, and oaks. Menu on deploy, no backup for secrets, no branch protection, no naming convention, no structure, on-prem, hybrid, multiple cloud, everything worked, but it was one wrong paw away from collapsing. And a month after I got there, the main data developer went to a vacation to Australia, and our R&D manager went to the desert with the rest of the leadership without any reception. And that's exactly when it happened. The first touch, one small change, and everything fell apart. It was one wrong deployment, or actually one wrong environment variable, and suddenly everybody got stressed, production was broken, and nobody could fix it. So it took us some time, but I actually got my priorities straight, and everybody understood we need to have some structure here. My dream was super clear. It's going to be a stable, organized, predictable environment where deployments were safe, repeatable, and auditable. The new cat had a vision, which is GitOps. And GitHub introduced us with transparency, with shared ownership, with accountability, with blamelessness, and predictable processes. Tools automate behavior, and behavior creates a culture. In my ad, the path looked very simple. We're going to implement the Git rules, the GitHub action pipeline, ArgoCD, infra as code, secure secrets, and a very happy deployment, which should make my developers happy, right? So it was a very straight yellow brick road. But in order to get to my destination, I have to go through the four developer witches. The first one was the resistant witch. I've always deployed this way, they said. Why should I change it? What will I gain? It's very comfortable right now. Well, you need to talk to her to make her trust you, to make her understand you want her life to be better. You want her to live without fear, with stability. It will take some time. She was the hardest one to pass, but she will eventually let you pass. Then you will meet the curiosity witch, and she will ask you, "So, how does this new thing work?" And you will explain her step by step what is your work process, what is the pipeline, where do you want to go, and eventually she will also let you pass. Then you will meet the participation witch. She will say, "I can improve the pipeline." So I know you'll be a bit afraid, but you will give her your machine. You will show her the code. She will push some changes. You will bite your lip, and everyone will be happy. And she will also let you pass. And the last one will be the ownership witch. She will come and say, "This is my deployment process now." You will give her your machine, you will bow down, and you slowly walk away. And this is where our actual process begins. Now back to my story. My first step in the company was very small. It was just branch protection rules. And for all of us, it sounds very clear, right? Why how they work without it. But for them, it was not. And instantly, I got pushback. "Why do I need review now? Why can't I just deploy it to prod? Or it's going to take so much longer. Now the process is so slow." Even the small, tiny changes felt like a threat to my developers. So I needed to find a different way to approach them. I shifted my mindset. I went from forcing change to enablement, more communication, more collaboration, more empathy towards them. You cannot force the trust. You must offer it to them. It's just like a cat treat. It works only if the cat chooses to accept it. And my recommendation is to bring a very big treat with you. Now we got a new developer, and this developer started training. And in his second week, the incident happened. This new developer accidentally deleted all the secret in staging. Of course, there was no backup, there was nothing. We had no GitOps for secret, no automation, no recovery, no rollback. So it took us a day to recover what we need and to create the new secrets with new processes. This single incident changed the priority of the thing with the leadership, and I got my way even better. And as we started introducing this structure, I fell into the oh so common trap, which means that I became the gatekeeper. Everything went through me. Every deploy, every approval, every config fix. And if you ever worked as the first DevOps in a company, you know how easy it is to fall to this trap. And it's happened slowly, slowly. It's not like a big one night thing. You don't even notice, but then slowly you can see that every deployments need your approvals, and every repo needs your reviews. Every secret fix depends on you, and the developer are scared of touching automation, which means the developer develop production anxiety. Suddenly, being a DevOps becomes a toll booth instead of enabler. So why gatekeeping is actually so dangerous? It slows down the delivery, and it builds resentments from developers to the DevOps. It makes the DevOps a single point of failure, and it breaks DevOps culture. And one of the most dangerous things about it encourages developers to find a side door deploys. They will try to trick you. You became the bad cop, so they want to do stuff that you don't approve. So you need to escape this trap. But how do I escape this trap safely? It starts from moving approval logic into automation with GitHub action checked, with PR reviews, with ArgoCD health rules, and with policy as code. If we talked about Caverno before, it's a good example, but you have a lot more policy as code. Then you shift left on security. Developers don't need to wait for you. They should have the failing security test and the failing test early during their PR. They see exactly why the deploy failed. They understand that you need to do a good logging for those material, um, and they feel safe to continue. Then you create a clear contributor workflow. They should not need your permission. You need to become an enabler. So they need your tools. Write the documentation. I know we're DevOps. We do not like to write the documentation, but we need to do it in order to make our life easier. So they don't need your permission, they just need your tools. Give them the tools with everything they need and let them continue alone. Then add visibility. Don't add the gates. Add Teams or Slack alerts. Add all the status checks for them. Add diff views, but do it in their language. They developers don't speak YAML. Okay, we do. They don't. They don't understand the Terraform, the Pulumi, the ArgoCD output, the Helm chart. They don't really speak that. So you need to wrap it with logs, with English, maybe with code, whatever they speak easily, it's better. And remember, gatekeeping solved through architecture, not personally. And still, every new pipeline or new rule made my developer nervous. And that's very normal. GitOps changed the feeding schedule or the deployment schedule. You can just dump or deploy on prod whenever you want. It's need to be organized and predictable and according to a specific path. Confidence is built through fast, clear, predictable feedback. So you need to give them feedback because without feedback, their fear grows. They fear GitOps because they can't see really what happened. They don't know when the deploy failed. They don't know who triggered the deploy, and they don't know why it broke. For them, from the moment they do get pushed, this silence is threatening. It's anxiety for them. You need to make the process a bit more noisy in order to give them clarity. And we have different kind of feedback we want to give them, right? We have the pre-merge feedback, we have the linting test, the regular, the application test, the Helm validation. We actually have a lot of type of validation and the policy checks we're going to run on the pull request. Then you have the pipeline feedback. You have the GitHub action logs. And as we said before, we want to wrap them in a developer approach language. We want to add the build time so they can really understand the flow and the timing. And we want to add the deployments diff, whatever deployment you are using. Then you have the post-deploy feedback. You have the ArgoCD sync status. You have the Slack or team alerts, and you have the monitoring hooks. We are using Prometheus and Grafana because for me it was easier to use this because I know them the best. But it doesn't really matter. As long as you have a monitoring system that can hook into your other tools, this is what you should do. And of course, there is the last one, which is the unappreciated human feedback, because this is what people kind of dislike to do. But we would like to connect with the tech leads and the team manager. So we'll do a daily 5-minute sync. Some developers and DevOps don't like those small meetings in their calendar. So don't do it officially. You can catch them in the hallway and just tell them what happened yesterday in production and what do you plan to do today in production. You can schedule a meeting, you can do a small stand up, you can just talk to them offline, online. Just make sure you have small things with them, preferably daily. Then don't give up on the show and tell. Yeah, I know, but R&D should know the full deployment process. You want to make them understand and really feel like this is very clear process. So you change a pipeline logic, show it to them. You added a new Terraform model, explain them what it does. Make sure they are aware of the changes and understand your process. They understand the GitOps flow. And of course, do postmortem. Don't play the blame game. It's not about blame. Making a mistake is very natural. Make those mistakes their lessons. Talk about it. It's okay to make mistakes on production. We should know we're DevOps. We're breaking production once in a while, probably in every company we ever worked. So they should also not fear from it. This is very natural. So yeah, at first it's very scary. It's kind of like a kitten meeting a robot vacuum cleaner. But once the team saw the consistent, reliable result, they began to love it. And it's accomplished a lot of things because the fear decreases, the trust between us grows, the mistakes become lessons and not trauma to afraid of. The team ships more frequently and the ownership increases. So for us, once we added those teams deploy message, developer finally saw what the changes and what's happening to the process, and they became to collaborate with us even more. Their anxiety disappeared, and the visibility kind of gave them psychological safety. One day, two developers came me just after we had a big problem with production and said, okay, so who owns this repo and who fixes the pipeline and what's going on? And I realized we never stated it. We never defined the roles. This fight is normal. It's okay for them to come like this, but it's solved really easily with a clear, documented ownership. So I sat with a team, everyone with their repo, and we created a simple owner's MD file in every relevant repo and path. The clarity reduced 80% of the question and confusion and the problem they were coming with. Because before GitOps, the role usually looked like, oh, developers develop code, DevOps deploy the code, nobody documents, and everyone prays for a successful deployment. But GitOps should flip it. Now DevOps own the deployment of their services that they develop. The DevOps own the platform, the castle, not the toys inside. Security owns the policies. And of course, all of the changes flow through our Git. Now we use the following breakdown. We use application manifest that owned by developers, and Helm value for app logic, of course, also were owned by developers. The cluster configuration was owned by DevOps, and the secret management was owned by DevOps tooling, but actually used by developers. And then we have the infrastructure as code, Pulumi, Terraform, whatever you're using. It was owned by DevOps, but PR'd by our developers, and soon it will be owned by developers, and I'll come back to that later. There was still kind of wild moments I encountered. 2 months into the position, I caught someone going rogue and running kubectl apply minus f dot on production, just sitting next to me, not doing like anything really important. He wanted to test his code. And a week later, the same someone in a meeting shared his screen and decided to delete all the pods because he wanted to restart his service on them. And he meant to do it on staging, but he didn't check his configuration, so he deleted everything on production. I had a moment there and my soul left my body. But instead of blaming, I used it as a teaching moment. I went to my manager and I said, okay, don't go like be mad at him. Let's make this the GitOps way. Let's make from this a GitOps path is the easiest path. I can show you now why it's safest to use GitOps. And we began redesigning the process together. The tech leads and the developer and I sat together and they helped shape the GitOps flow. They created templates with me. We co-authored a lot of pipeline and workflow. And suddenly it wasn't like my pipeline anymore, right? It was ours. It was our project. They were convincing other people and other developers why we should use those pipelines because it was also there. And we had a lot of good things coming into our culture with the GitOps. We had the blamelessness because everything was version and mistake was reversible, and they felt okay to enter bugs, which is not, well, don't catch me with this wording, but it's okay. It's okay to do a mistake and it's okay to learn from them. So when you take the blame out, everyone learning way better, which really improved our culture and our collaboration, which takes me to the whole collaboration area. The pull request reviews become learning moments, and we had so much more collaboration between developers, between the team themselves, but also between backend and front end. And they helped each other and they started to think about how we can do it, and they did share template that unify the approaches, and that's took us to predictability. Because they start working together, they also start to plan the design together, and they start doing an actual design review, which make them caught those oopsies before they even got to the code. So all the surprises dropped and the team planned more. And of course, they felt empowered. The developer felt confident to deploy. They felt like they understand production, they understand the process, the GitOps flow. They can do everything because it's also theirs. And I, as a DevOps, I could just focus on infrastructure and system health. I didn't need to do approval all day and PRs and to let them know the secrets are better. So I knew it was the right time and I stepped back. I removed unnecessary approval. The developer became owner of their own services, and this ownership built a trust more than any tools. And for my role as a DevOps there, I am not enforcing a culture of DevOps anymore. I'm designing the environment in which this culture naturally shifts and grows. They are part of it. The GitOps are also theirs. It's like rearranging a castle so the cats can play without fear of it falling. And I still need to have a lot of empathy for them, because for them, I got there and put too many rules, and too many rules can cause frustration. So I focused only on the meaningful policies for phase A. I added branch protection, I added PR reviews, I added secret automation, and I added mandatory GitOps for prod. And everything else will be part of phase B or even part of phase C. We created one clear path together. We all know we need to go with this path, right? So this path for us as a devils are very clear, but for them it was not. So we make it simple. At the first stage, we did just git commit, git pull request, and git push. It will take us to our GitHub action pipeline that get us to our Helm repository changes, that get us to our ArgoCD deployment, which mean we have a successful deployment. We had one path, one truth, and one consistent workflow. They understood it, they liked it, and they work with it. Now, I appreciate my developers for taking a part of it. And my next step for them is building a Python SDK for our infrastructure, because my developer speaks Python, and DevOps should definitely speak our developer language. It's not the other way around. We need to enable them the infrastructure and the tools. This is how I see it. I know there is different approaches and a lot of philosophy about this area, but for me, I'm an enabler for them. They are my customers. They are not easy customers, but I want to make their life easy, or actually make my life easy by making their life easy. I didn't push GitOps onto them. I built it with them. And they went from resisting the changes to shaping them with me to teaching the newcomers how to use them. And dare I say, they actually kind of love it now. And this is where we are today. We're still progressing, we're still learning, we're still improving, but working together. We have the same toys, but it's a shared ownership. So your GitOps pipeline will only work when your people believe in it. Tools automate the processes, but trust automate the collaboration. Thank you for your time. I was Shahar. This is the QR code of my LinkedIn profile if you want to connect. That's all.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. I like the fact that you used cats, because I think in when we're managing systems, right, whether developer, DevOps, whatever, it feels like you're herding cats, right, in order to to
Right.
try to deliver an application. So let's say here, there was a question: did no cats get harmed during the production of
Yeah.
these?
My cat is actually the first time is not giving a guest appearance during this
Okay, there
lecture.
you go.